Hello guys, welcome back to this concept based YouTube channel. Today we will discuss class 9 maths chapter 2, that is polynomial. So in order to learn or in order to know polynomial, first we need to know the introductions, or we need to know the definitions of some portion or some topic. Okay, so the first thing that we need to know, it is algebraic expression. What do you mean by algebraic expression? A combination of constant and variable connected by the sign of four basic operation: plus, minus, multiply, and divide is called an algebraic expression. That means algebraic expression means combinations of constant and variable whether it is connected by the basic operation, that is plus, minus, multiply, or divide. Okay, it's called an algebraic expression. As we can see here, the example is already given, that is 3x plus 2y, 4x plus y minus z, and many more. So all these are example of algebraic expression. So this is all about the definitions of an algebraic expression. Okay, if it is clear to all of you, then let us move to the next portion, that is constant term. That is constant. So what do you mean by constant? If we talk about constant, constant means number which has a fixed value are called constant. Example are 5, pi, 1 by 2, etc. So all these are the example of constant, and we can easily understand that constant are those number which has a fixed value are called constant. Okay, then let us move to the next step, that is variable. What do you mean by variable? It is the quantity which can take a number of real values. Okay, suppose if we take x, y, a, b, and other alphabet, and we can put any values in them, then this kind of quantity or this kind we call it as variables. Okay, example are already given. Example are a, b, x, y, etc. So all these are the example of variables, and there are so many more after this. And let us move to another step, that is polynomial. What do you mean by polynomial? Polynomial means an algebraic expressions in which the power of the variable are all whole number. Okay, that means polynomial. Polynomial is an algebraic expression in which the power, that is power, should be a whole number. Okay, should be a whole number. Here it is 3, here it is 2, and here it is 1. So if it is 1, then it is also a whole number. Whole number are those numbers which we start counting from 0. 1, from 0 we start counting a whole number. Okay, so all these numbers are fall in the whole number. So if the algebraic expressions, or if the polynomial that we got, or if the algebraic expression that we got, their power is whole number, then we can say that it is a polynomial. Moreover, there should not be any variable in the denominator. That means under this or below this, there should not be any other denominator. If we put this one, then it will be itself. Okay, and those power of which they have, it will also be a whole number. So all this kind of algebraic expressions in which the power are whole number, as well as there is no denominators, which is a variable. So if it satisfies this condition by an algebraic expressions, we call it as polynomial. Okay, simply now we can understand that polynomial means algebraic expressions in which the power should be a whole number, as well as there should not be any variable in the denominator of any term. Okay, so this is the condition which is required to satisfy by the algebraic expressions in order to be a polynomial. Okay? Alright, if it is clear to all of you, then I will move to the next step, that is polynomial in one variable. What do we mean by polynomial in one variable? As we just discussed polynomial. Here we are gonna discuss polynomial in one variable. Polynomial in one variable means a polynomial having only one variable. Okay? Those polynomial which have only one alphabet, we call it as polynomial in one variable, or those polynomial which have only one variable, we call it as polynomial in one variable. So if the polynomial that we have, suppose if this is the polynomial that we are given with, then their power should be x, and even here their power should be x. There should not be any chance, or there should not be any difference in them. If it is x, here it should be x in order to be polynomial in one variable. Okay? And even here we are given with more example, that is y cubed plus y squared plus y plus 4. Here the variable that is given to us, it is y. Even here it is y, even here it is y. So all the variable that is given to us, it should be same in a one variable, or in a polynomial in one variable. Okay? If a polynomial can satisfy these conditions, or if a polynomial have only one variable in them, then we call it that polynomial is polynomial in one variable. Okay? Okay, if it is clear, then let us move to the next. Now let us discuss, or let us know terms. What do we mean by terms in polynomial? The part of an algebraic expressions or polynomial separated by sign plus and minus. Okay, here it should be plus and minus are called its term. As we can see here, this is the given polynomial. This is an example which is given to us as a polynomial. Okay. Here it is 7x squared, and here it is 5x, but it is separated by plus. But let us take this one as a part. 7x squared, 5x squared, it is separated by plus. So all this part which is separated by plus, or some plus or minus, we call it as terms in the polynomial. Okay? Is it clear to all of you? Okay, if it is clear, then we will move to the next, that is coefficient. What do we mean by coefficient? If we talk about coefficients, any number or constant factor, any number or constant factor multiplied with a variable or a group of variable in an algebraic term, or the term of a polynomial, is called coefficient. Okay? As we can see here, this is an example of a terms. This is an example of a terms. But let us take this variable, and if this variable is multiplied with some numbers or some constant values like pi or any numbers, if it is multiplied with any numbers or some constant, that is pi, then we call it that value which we multiply with variable, we call it that number or that constant as coefficient. Okay? If it talks about coefficient of x squared, then coefficient of x squared will be 7, and if it talks about coefficient of x, then it should be 5. Okay? Whatever numbers or whatever constant that is multiplied with the given variable, then we call it that number which we multiply, we call it that number as coefficients. Okay? Same to this problem that we just discussed. Here we're gonna discuss example. In example, we were given with in 12x, the coefficient of x is 12. Here in coefficients, the given example is 12x. As we can see here, 12 is multiplied with variable x. Then we call it this 12 as coefficients of x. Okay. Then 14x square. Here 14 is the number that we just multiply with this variable x square. That we call it this 14 as coefficients of x square. Is it okay? Alright. If it is clear to all of you, then we'll move or we'll proceed to the next portion. Then here we have constant polynomial. So what do you mean by constant polynomial? The polynomial having constant term only is called constant polynomial. Those polynomial which have only constant term and there is no other term, only constant term should be there in a polynomial, and this kind of polynomial we call it as constant polynomial. Okay. Example are given to us, that is 4, 6, minus 8, etc. are constant polynomial. Let us recall it once more. Those polynomial which have only constant term and there is no other term in them. So this kind of polynomial we call it as constant polynomial. An example of this constant polynomial are given to us, that is like 4, 6, minus 8 and many more. All these are came under constant polynomial. Okay. Then in the next problem we have zero polynomial. What do you mean by zero polynomial? Zero polynomial means constant polynomial 0. We call it as zero polynomial. Okay. So if instead of or in the place of constant polynomial that we just discussed just before this, in place of this, if there is 0, then we call it as zero polynomial. Okay. That is constant polynomial 0. Constant polynomial 0 should be called as zero polynomial. Okay, this is the simplest definitions for defining this constant zero polynomial, and it is represented by the symbol O. Is it clear to all of you? Okay, if it is clear, then we will move to the next step. Okay, as we can see here, we have types of polynomial. We just discussed what is polynomial. Now we are going to discuss types of polynomial. Polynomials can be classified into two types. The number one is on the basis of number of terms, and number two, it is on the basis of degrees of polynomial. Now let us proceed, or let us go to the number one, that is on the basis of number of terms. Polynomial can be classified on the basis of number of terms. If it has one term, then we call it as monomial, and if it has two terms, then we call it as binomial, and if it has three terms, then we call it as trinomial, and if it has four terms, then we call it as quadrinomial. Example of monomial are 3, 4a, 5x. Only one term should be there. So this kind of polynomial we call it as monomial. And if it has two terms, that is one term and this is another term, that means two term is there. If two term is there in a polynomial, then we call it that polynomial as binomial. Okay. And if the polynomial has three terms, that is 1, 2, 3, then we call it as this polynomial as trinomial. And if the polynomial has four terms, that is 1, 2, 3, 4. If it has four terms, then we call it as quadrinomial. Okay. Is it clear to all of you? You can use any other example except this. If you don't use this one, then you can use so many examples. Not only this, there are so many examples other than this. Okay, you can use any one that you like, that's up to you, but I just told this one so that it will be easy for you to understand this one. Okay. And number two is on the basis of degree of polynomial. Okay, so the polynomial that we have, if it has only one power, that we call it as linear polynomial. And the polynomial that we have is if the highest power is 2 or square, then we call it as quadratic polynomial. And the polynomial that if the polynomial that we have has the highest power 3, then we call it as cubic polynomial. Okay, example are given in linear polynomial. Example are those 3x plus 4. In the polynomial that is given to us in linear polynomial, the highest power should be 1, and we call it as that polynomial as linear polynomial. If the highest power that is given in the polynomial, if it is more than 1, that is if it is 2, then we call it as quadratic polynomial. And in the polynomial, if the power given or if the highest power given to us is 3, then we call it as cubic polynomial. Okay. Okay, this is all about the problem that we're going to discuss today. And if you have any kind of queries or if you have any kind of doubt related to this, then please comment down below. Okay, that's all for today. Wish you all the best. Thank you.